right, we got nothing but time here. We got about 6 hours left in the road trip, so I figured I'd take a page out of Gary Vees' book. I'm going to play Overrated, Underrated, especially with how controversial I am and outspoken. I figured maybe this is a good one. Somebody will get some entertainment out of this. So Sky's got a list of topics that Chelsea, my partner in crime, my wife, sent me. You've seen her in the vlogs a couple times, but she, I don't know where she got the list from. I briefly seen a couple, but I didn't want to have any preconceived idea on what I was going to say for most of them. So he's going to read off the topic, overrated, underrated, and we'll just go through that. I think there's 30 of them, so I'll try to keep my things short. So Sky, what's the first one? Books. Controversial books I think are overrated. If you'd asked me 10 years ago if books were overrated or underrated, I would have said underrated. But now I think with long form discussion media we have, like podcasts specifically, I think books are almost a mute cause. Now, audiobooks, I guess, could play into that long form discussion, and at that point they are underrated. Audiobooks underrated, but books themselves overrated. Weddings, severely overrated. I just don't get the whole concept. What it feels like to me is it feels like people are spending their hard-earned money trying to impress people or make them feel important for a day. It's the same thing that I don't understand about, birthday parties and stuff like that. I think weddings are severely overrated. I think most people would be much happier just going and doing like a person-to-person thing, whether it's at the courthouse or a small ceremony, and then spending that money that they were going to spend on a wedding and going on vacation. And if you've got that kind of bankroll, take your whole family on vacation. Your mom, your dad, your sisters. Like, it'd be cool for me to take my entire family once I make it one day to Ireland. That money's much better served there. We did have a wedding. I was in protest of it the whole time, though. You can ask my wife, but weddings, overrated severely. Ocean's overrated. Lakes are way better. Sand sucks. Salt water sucks. Sharks, I don't think people understand how populated sharks are, and when they're swimming in the ocean, how close sharks are to them. Ocean sucks. Lakes are way better. College, severely overrated. Enthusiastically overrated. And here's what I mean by that. Now, if college was just for things that you had to have college degree to be successful at, a doctor, an engineer, an architect, those kinds of things, and there's a big list of those. Don't let me undersell it. There's a big list of those. If college was specific to that, it'd be fine. A college would not be overrated. The problem is college allows you to seek out your quote-unquote dreams while getting $100,000 in debt to be a historical arts major or something like that, and then you land $35,000 a year being a teacher as a history teacher. Not knocking on history teachers, it's just the reality of it. College is so overrated. You can go spend $2,000 to $10,000 at a trade school becoming a welder in a fraction of the time, a fraction of the cost, or like this fella I just watched walking across the bridge here. They're doing some type of construction with a bridge here. I guarantee those dudes get paid way better than a teacher does. You go to a trade school, get to work much faster, have severely less debt, and make a much better living. College, completely overrated. And I'm saying that from somebody who's done college. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world. I just finished an oceanography class because I had to, and I was going for a business degree, and I learned nothing from it. Like, I was getting worksheets weekly where it was just definitions. College, severely overrated. Exotic cars. Overrated in the materialism aspect of it, underrated on the motivation side of it. I think too many, for some reason, society nowadays, I think we have, I don't know where it came from because I'm not that old, but we have tried to make money and things like that a bad thing. And it's not. You should, if you want to drive a Lamborghini, like, that should be something that motivates you to achieve a better lifestyle. Then that's what that is. So, underrated in the concept, overrated in the materialism. Instagram influencers. Overrated. I don't think 95% of them bring anything of relevance, of importance to the table. I think they're on a platform. They use filters on their pictures, which draw attraction. Girls post scandalous photos, which draw attraction, and then they want to sell you their, their fit program, their fit tees. When in reality, and it's just reality. I'm not trying to knock them. but they don't know anything about actually the science of fitness, because talk to any real trainer, nutritionalist, or somebody who's studied muscular physiology, and there is an art to working out, and booty bands and stuff like that just aren't the key. So severely overrated. Tattoos, properly rated. I love tattoos. I think in the grand scheme of things, they're a waste of money. But everybody's got to waste your money on something. I kind of told myself in the beginning I wasn't going to do properly rated on these, but I don't think tattoos are overrated. I think some tattoos are overrated. I don't think there's a lot of thought process put into a lot of people's tattoos. But it's their own prerogative. But I don't think they're underrated either, because I think a good tattoo is appreciated by many people, except for those people that don't think you should get any tattoos. So properly rated. CrossFit I think is completely underrated. I genuinely do. I think CrossFit could be executed a lot better. But in terms of making somebody a physically fit, functional being the key word, individual, of all of the fitness things that I've tried throughout my adult life while being in the Marine Corps, mind you, because we have to stay physically fit, CrossFit without a doubt was the most functionally fit human being / Marine that I ever was. I think there's an execution problem where too many people are getting hurt because there's not enough emphasis put on safe lifting practices and those kinds of things. But as a whole, the fitness strategy that is CrossFit, severely underrated. Google, underrated. I think what Google's been able to do in my lifetime, and anybody watching this, and what they still have such a grip on, is just unfathomable for somebody who wants to be a businessman like myself, or any of you watching this. Every time I think of Google, I think of the movie The Intern with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. Because that's how the Google campus actually is. I don't know if that's the actual hiring process. If it is, it's super dope. But I think Google, in the grand scheme of things, is underrated. How they approach business, how they run their business from a employee standpoint, and then just the market share they've got hold of, underrated. LeBron James, completely overrated. Now, I used to be a big LeBron James fan. And it's not his politics that bother me. I don't care about that. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. And I agree that if you have a platform that large and you have something that you think you need to speak out and change on, utilize your platform. That's all fine and good. But he is the biggest baby ever when it comes to calls not going his way, when it comes to somebody roughing him up. Like, this dude's 6'9", walks around 250, I think, 250, 260, and he gets a little body language going to and I'm not a huge basketball fan, but he gets a little body language driving to do a dunk or something like that, and he instantly cries to the ref if he doesn't get a foul. Completely overrated. Now, physical specimen, athletic beyond means, but the crybaby thing kills it for me. Overrated. Man buns. Properly rated? I don't know. My wife made this list. She threw it in there because I told her I was going to grow my hair out into a man bun, just see how it looks. This is actually the longest my hair's probably ever been, because I always kept it short on the sides, even before the military, because I don't like it being bushy up here and here the way my hair grows. Off topic, but man buns. We'll say underrated, simply because the confidence it takes to pull them off, because the majority of people do not like man buns and they have something negative to say. So if you have a man bun, you automatically know people are gonna talk crap to you, so you wear that with pride. So underrated for that regard. Starbucks, overrated. There's huge margin on coffee. Like, don't get me wrong, I think their coffees are they taste good. It's dessert in a beverage cup, just because of the sugar content, but the margins on coffee versus making it yourself are so crazy. It takes, on the Starbucks side, it probably takes like 12 cents, but like at an at-home level, it takes like 35 or 45 cents to make, we'll say, an iced coffee, and they sell it for $3.50, $4.50, whatever it is. To them, because they have this enterprise, it probably costs them, like I said, 12 cents to make. So margin's super high, and their coffee's just not that good, in my opinion. Overrated.
Vegans.
Tough one. Properly rated, because on the spectrum of caring about themselves, caring about your body, and caring about the environment, I think that aspect is grossly underrated at large by most people, vegans and all people alike. But vegans of anybody that I've experienced, and we'll call it in a fad diet sense, are the most controversial. Yell at somebody, you need to go vegan because it's the right thing to do. I'm so much healthier than you, people. And for that reason, overrated. Because, again, if you want to be a vegan, and I can do a whole segment on this, so I won't. If you want to be a vegan, great, but you don't have to try to make everybody around you a vegan based on your values. And that applies to anything, so overrated.
Avocado toast.
Avocado toast, grossly underrated. Avocado toast is my jam.
Road trips.
Underrated, severely underrated. In a time where it's so easy to just jump on a plane and get to your destination in a couple hours, granted, you got to mess with TSA and all of that. I think there's a real cool aspect to road trips where you get to be with your thoughts. You get to think about, like in my case, I've been thinking about some things I want to do with the business here and there. I've been hanging out with my son, who we don't often get time like this together because, I have 2 other kids and a wife as well. And then a road trip with the family is also cool, as long as you're not trying to rush to your destination, which is something I've been guilty in the past because of the military. You only get a certain amount of leave days, so you don't necessarily, if you're trying to, like, we live in North Carolina, we don't anymore. And our family's back in Missouri, so when we went on leave, we would take a trip to Missouri, and we wanted to spend as many days there as we could so we could see all of our family, so we would just power through the road trip and get there. Along the way, we didn't get to see quite a few cool things that are on the way. For that reason, they suck if you're going to approach them that way, but underrated in the grand scheme.
Going out on New Year's Eve.
Going out on New Year's Eve, completely overrated. It's another day. All that's going to happen is the calendar is going to flip. To the same point, same people that are living for Friday and Saturday night, I think you got your whole thing messed up as well. I think you should be approaching life to a certain aspect where, the days kind of blur together, and Friday night, Saturday night doesn't matter. Maybe every now and then go get a night out on the town, but New Year's Eve, what it's become for people, completely overrated. 3D movies, overrated because I haven't been to one that really blew me away. Like, I think I've gone in there with a higher expectation of what I expect it to be than what is actually reality. So for that, overrated. At some point, they probably will be underrated when they get super cool.
Which one that is?
Prius? Prius, I assume she means Prius cars. Overrated. They suck. They're small. They're ugly. They get good gas, but honestly, like a Volkswagen Jetta, I think its equivalent gas mileage is just a better looking car, in my opinion. Sunflower seeds, underrated. One of the best, great road trip snack foods, and just kind of sit around with your friends' snack foods in general, I guess. Peeps, grossly overrated. Those things suck. They're terrible. Do you like Peeps?
Yep.
He likes Peeps.
Sriracha sauce.
Sriracha sauce, underrated. Sriracha sauce can transform a meal now. It's not super hot, but it's got a kick to it. I also say underrated because on my first 2 deployments, the MEU in the Marine Corps, your ship deployments aren't typically known for great food. Granted, my second was night and day better than my first. We lived on sriracha because you get bad rice or dry meat, put sriracha on it, and scarf it down, and everything's gonna be all right. Underrated. Weed is grossly, and I hate to keep saying that word, I need to find another adjective, grossly underrated. Growing up, like everybody, there was such a stigma put on it as a drug, but as I grow into a man, and this is coming from somebody, let me preface this, who has never tried it. I've been out of the Marine Corps for almost 2 months now. It's on my agenda, kind of. I just kind of want to feel comfortable when I do it and balanced. But I think the benefits of it for mental health stability, anxiety control, which leads into stomach issues like I have, is such a great connection from a plant-based medicine. Like I said, we all grew up with this incognation that it's a drug and all that, but it's like going out to this tree line right here, picking a plant, grinding it up and smoking it. Like, I just don't understand now that I'm older and more mature how anybody could ever constitute that as a bad thing. And worse yet, make it illegal. So grossly underrated for all of its benefits. I think more people should open their minds to it, especially before they turn to pharmaceutical drugs. And I'm going to add my own in there. Pharmaceutical drugs, overrated, completely, utterly overrated. Swimming pools? Swimming pools. Think about this for 1 second. Give me 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Underrated because I'm about anything that brings family and friends together, that induces a fun-filled environment, and pools tend to do that. Cats. I'm allergic to cats, so my instant answer would be overrated. But cats are cool animals. I'm like really allergic to cats. Cats are cool animals. They're cool, like, put in your car road buddies. They act a certain way. They're pretty chill. I kind of wish that I wasn't allergic to cats so that I could have a cat, because in the grand scheme of just chillness, cats are cool in that regard. However, cats stink. Their pee is poisonous. Let's go with cats are underrated, because I think most people are dog people and cats are pretty cool. Sweet tea is properly rated. Some people like their tea super sweet. Some people like their tea not very sweet. But no, you know what? I'm gonna go underrated, because a good cold glass of sweet tea, however you prefer it, cold, sweet, very sweet, unsweet, doesn't matter. But a good glass of cold tea is just like a great glass of lemonade on a hot day. It just hits the spot right. So underrated. Traeger grills are underrated, because as good of a rating as they have, I still think people are leery to go to, quote unquote, I think some people call it an easy bake oven smoker, because you plug it in, you fill it with pellets, and you set your temperature. The reason they're underrated is because so many people are so lenient to go towards it, but your food comes out so great, and it is dummy proof. And then to caveat that, there's other pellet smokers. I've had a Pit Boss, and it just didn't do as good of a job as my Traeger does. So for that reason, Traegers are underrated. Beards?
Yeah.
Overrated. The only reason I'm growing mine is because I've never seen myself with a beard. My wife loves it. I could go without it and be fine. In fact, I was looking at pictures of myself, some timeline stuff today or yesterday, and I think I actually prefer my clean face. For whatever reason, but I think they're overrated just because of the dynamic that's put on them. You got so many people that grow a beard because it's the cool thing to do, which is in fact what I'm doing right now, because it's just kind of a tradition. When you get out of the military, you've been subdued from growing facial hair for so long outside of a mustache, to see where your beard can go, and that's all I'm doing now. But I don't think I'll ever keep a beard like down here. I don't know, I might be a goatee man, but I think they're overrated in the grand aspect of things. Airbnb, I think, is a underrated business strategy. And what I mean by that is they are geniuses for what they are. They are, I think, I would go on record and say, one of the largest real estate companies to ever go public on the stock market that owns zero real estate. It's such a fascinating concept to me. Airbnb has allowed a lot of people to, turn a vacation home of theirs or something like that into a rental property and make some extra money. Those kinds of things. I think they're underrated. However, I think too many people now know about Airbnb, and they think that they are going to strike gold with Airbnb, and the reality is, unless you can sit on it through the bad months, and unless you're in a great location, I don't think Airbnb for the individual is as lucrative as people like to think that it is, until you get a ton of different properties, and now you're talking about cash flow. But again, I think there's something weird with this what's the word I'm looking for? This generation, and my generation included, that thinks flipping houses and Airbnbs is the key to success, and it's just much harder than people want to give it credit for. Taco Bell, grossly overrated. It's never that good. I mean, I'll get it every now and then in a pinch because it's easy, but I always feel like crap afterwards. While I'm eating it, it's never that good. For the same money, you can make yourself dinner for 3 nights, and I'm telling you to tell me, for the same money, you can make yourself dinner at your house 3 nights in a row, tacos if you wanted, and they'd be way better. So overrated.
Last one, coffee.
Last one, coffee. Coffee done right, I think, is underrated. I'm not necessarily a coffee drinker, but when it's done right, meaning somebody takes the time to extract the coffee from the coffee bean the way it's supposed to be done through like a good machine and all of that, I think is very underrated and kind of like a lost art, if you will. Now, coffee as a business, I think, is also grossly underrated because there's been so many companies pop up over the last 5 to 10 years that are crushing it selling custom coffee, or I use the term custom, whatever terminology you want to put there. So in that regard, super underrated as well. I think that was it. Appreciate you guys listening. If you made it this far in the video, I apologize for my overuse of the word grossly. I'll find another adjective in there. I'm also battling traffic this whole time. I'll find another adjective to put in there, but I actually enjoyed these, so I think I'm gonna do one of these once a week or something like that. If you've got any suggestions for the next one, drop it in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel. Watch our intro videos about what this channel's about. Appreciate all you guys. I'll see you in the next one.